Today is April 28th, 2015, and I'm interviewing John Knifechief, a Pawnee tribal member at the Pawnee Nation Museum in Pawnee, Oklahoma. John, you make different cultural items, handmade arrows and bows, buffalo spears, lances, and you often do demonstrations. You will be at 3 different museums in Nebraska this summer demonstrating and selling with your youngest son. A number of your cultural items are owned by collectors, and one of your spears is planted at Ground Zero. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me today.
You're welcome.
Where were you born and where did you grow up?
I was born in Pawnee, Oklahoma. We grew up in a little town called Ralston, Oklahoma. And when I got to be 10 or 11 years old, we moved to Pawnee, Oklahoma. But ever since I can remember, my dad was a farmer and he grew corn and potatoes and stuff, and he'd plow up the fields, and I would find arrowheads or something to make arrowheads. And my dad showed me how to gather the dogwood from my arrows to make the shafts, and I would use turkey feathers or chicken feathers because my dad had chickens, and I'd use fishing line or any kind of string I could find to make the arrows, and my dad would make the bows out of bodark or hickory. And ever since I was a little kid, I used to carry a bow to school and hide my bow and arrows outside by the propane tank at school. But I would be able to shoot squirrels out of trees, and I'd shoot rabbits, I'd shoot pigeons at the cotton gin in Ralston. When we moved to Pawnee, my dad owned a lot of land in Pawnee and Skeety and Ralston, and we would hunt rabbits and raccoons and things, different things, and I would kill the raccoons and skin them and sell the pelts for money. When we were younger, we used to make our own toys. We didn't have color TV or telephones or anything like that, what they have nowadays. But everything that I have made, I used to sell my arrows for $3 a piece a long time ago, but now I sell them for $50 a piece. Now I have certificates of authenticity with each thing I make. The wood is dogwood, and the string is sinew, and the feathers are wild turkey feathers from his wing or from his tail. And I use goose feathers, white ones, or I can dye them black to make them black, and just different colors, whatever anybody wants. And the arrowheads are flint, chert, obsidian, just whatever I can find to knap arrowheads out of. I also make tomahawks and spears, buffalo lance spears, arrowhead necklaces, and buffalo knives and buffalo scrapers, skinners. I would go to museums and see what the Pawnees have made, and I would keep the pictures of the things that I've seen in museums in my head. So whenever I got home, I'd go to the land and I'd gather up what I needed to make the same things that I've seen my ancestors and what they used back in the 1800s. So I'd bring it back to life in my own way. And so a lot of people, they will buy my things for collectors, or they would ask me who made them, and I'd tell them that a Pawnee made them, and they would say, who's a Pawnee? And I would say, I am a Pawnee that made them. I'm a full-blood Pawnee, and my ancestors came from Nebraska. And there's different things that my dad taught me how to do, and I have a little boy, Charles Knifechief, that helps me right now. He's 9 years old, and he helps me make my arrows, and he knows what to gather with me. And Bodark, we let the bodark trees lay for 5 to 10 years, let them cure before we make a bow. Because if you don't, they'll split or they'll crack. And if you go sell someone a bow and it cracks, that's not good for me or for them. My arrows have been all over the place. I was a Pawnee Fire Scout. And to raise money to pay my bills, I would make the arrows and bows and things and sell them to pay my rent, my utilities and different things. I'd get invited to go to different towns or states to demonstrate how to make arrows or to raise money, and also to pay I and my little boy's bills that helps me support my son, and like I said, pay my bills. But everything and anything that I make is the way that my ancestors used to make them. And I can make just about anything. I used to draw and paint. When my son, John, my firstborn, John Knifechief, when he was born, I drew and painted pictures of Pawnees, and I'd go jump on my bike and ride around and go selling so I could buy formula and diapers for him. And then came along my next son, Dennis Knifechief, and named after my dad. And I would do the same thing, make arrows or bows or do beadwork to pay for his diapers and milk. Then I have another son, Jeremiah Knifechief, that I did the same thing also. And I have one final son. He just turned 9 years old, April 28th, and he helps me gather wood and flint and sinew and turkey feathers. He splits the turkey feathers in the center, and I wrap them on the dogwood to make my arrows. And he's the one that's going to be carrying on the art that I do, hopefully. But all my boys, they know how to do different things. My son, John Knifechief, works at the Pawnee Museum, and he's a good artist, but he has a regular job to pay his bills. And my middle son, Dennis, is a pro boxer. And my son, Jeremiah, lives in Arkansas. And my 9-year-old lives with me. It's him and I. And I just enjoy doing what I do, and I want to keep it alive in my tribe. I'm going to be going to Republic, Kansas in June of this year. I'm also going to Nebraska, Kearney, Nebraska, and Pawnee, Nebraska, Pawnee Highway. Me and my little boy's going to demonstrate how to make arrows and bows, and we're going to be selling my things that I make. And I enjoy meeting different Native American tribes and all kinds of different people, because they have not seen handmade things, and it makes me happy to show them what I have learned from my father. And we're just going to be going around Nebraska checking out the places where my ancestors made the journey from 1876 to Oklahoma, we're now called Pawnee, Oklahoma, to honor them through the things I make, and to honor my father and the ones that have gone.
Did you have brothers and sisters at home?
Yes, I have Dennis Knifechief passed away when he was a baby, my first brother, and my oldest brother is James Knifechief, and my brother Charles Knifechief. I'm the middle one, okay. So I got picked on a lot.
How about your mom? Was she a housewife?
My mother passed away when I was a baby.
Oh, okay.
From a smoking relation here in Pawnee, Oklahoma. So I never knew my mother.
I'm sorry.
So my father raised us by himself.
Were your dad's folks passed on already too, or did you have any grandparents on either side?
Yeah, on my mother's side, Bob Rice worked down here in Pawnee, Oklahoma at the trading post. And my mother's mom was still alive, Tina Rice. And on my mom's side has numerous brothers and sisters. And on my dad's side, Dennis Knifechief's my dad's name, and John Knifechief is my dad's brother, and Manuel Knifechief, so he had two brothers. But I grew up in a different time. I grew up in my dad was 56 when he had me. Mom was like 20-something. So I was born in 66. And when I was a kid, doing what I have been making arrows, this and that, and everybody was older. I was young, so I was seeing everybody pass away. So when I got big, they were all gone.
You grew up around Pawnee language, though. Your dad spoke Pawnee too?
Yes.
And you're passing that on to your son, I understand.
Yes.
When your dad first showed you those arrowheads that he came across, what kinds of thoughts or feelings did that spark in you?
When I was little, I always had a bare fiberglass bow is green, and Bear was a bow maker back in the late 50s and stuff. And I had the wooden arrows from Army's store here in Pawnee, Oklahoma on Main Street, a couple of doors down. And I would shoot them arrows. I could shoot rabbits, squirrels out of trees, birds, anything I wanted. And then my dad, just out of the blue, cut some bodark off of the land in Skeety, Oklahoma, and he made a bow. And then he showed me how to make them the old way, and the arrows, he showed me how to get the dogwood, because they're straight. They come out in the springtime, and when they bloom, they have white flowers on them. That's when you go get them. They have little bitty pinholes in them. When I'll gather up a bundle of them and I'll peel them, let them dry for like a month or two, and then I'll start a fire and I'll roll them over that fire, and there are burn marks on the dogwood that will harden and straighten through the arrow. And you can see the little pinholes where the smoke will puff out when you bend them and stuff.
So probably your hunting was important in feeding the family too.
Yes, I did ate a lot of rabbit and squirrel gravy back in the day, and biscuits and fry bread.
You know, aside from the obvious element of skill, what's the difference between like hunting with a .22 and hunting with a bow and arrow?
You get more meaning out of hunting, killing something with a bow and arrow. My dad taught me, if you're going to kill something, eat it and use the hide, or eat and use what you kill. Don't just go kill it, just be killing it, say I killed this or that. If you shot something with the .22, that's Chodok's way of using to hunt. But it has more meaning to me to hunt, kill something with your own thing that you made with your own hands. And you can go buy a gun just about anywhere, put a bullet in it and shoot whatever. And nowadays they have compound bows that have sights and everything on them. And to me, that's cheating. But if you want to go kill a trophy deer, elk, or bear, go make your own bow and arrow and do it the old way. And that has more meaning to me. Even it means a lot to me.
What were your favorite subjects in like elementary school?
Math and social studies was in English. I did pretty good, but I had to go to a special class because of my speech. I used to slur my different like S's and different in the alphabet. So I had to go to speech therapy when I was little, but then I got into third and fourth grade, and then I liked playing basketball. I was the tallest one, so that's pretty good. Little bitty guys. And I was 13 or 14, I went to Shalako Indian School. And I learned how to do better in painting and beadwork. I had art teachers, and I was real good at swimming. I already knew how to make arrows and things, so I didn't have no money. So I'd make arrows and sell my arrows at Shalako Indian School. People would buy them from me, so they'd give me money to go to the movie. And the movies are only 50 or 75 cents to go watch a movie. You can take $2 and get you popcorn and pop and some candy and go, plus going to a movie. Nowadays it's $10, $15 for a ticket, and real expensive now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was wondering if you got any kind of art instruction in public school. It sounds like most of it came from Shalako, or was it a mix?
It all came from my dad, and I would see things in Pawnee museums or for the Pawnees, and I kind of mocked them. I would see them, and then in my mind I could take a picture or something, and I'd be so eager to get home to go out in the woods and get what I needed to make it and see how I made it. And I would go to different towns or whatever to show people, and they'd offer me money for it. So, and they thought it was real good, and they'd never seen anything like it, so it just made me want to continue making. So, but Shalako Indian School, they taught me how to paint and draw and do beadwork, making arrows and bows and skinners and buffalo knives was from my father. But I learned to make things to survive, to pay my bills, and I just had to go to Shalako because I was an honorary kid, teenager.
And you boxed there a little bit too, is that right?
I and my oldest brother and my cousin David Knifechief, my brother James Knifechief, boxed here at Pawnee, Oklahoma, at the armory. And Johnny Heyman was our boxing coach, and Bob Littleson was the boxing coach, and Tim Brown was a boxing coach. But I boxed at Shalako too. Mm-hmm. I was just a little teenager and got worked over at Shalako, but as I did better here at Pawnee boxing because I had my own people that taught me. At Shalako, they more or less put gloves on me and a pair of shorts and boxing shoes, and I got worked over sometimes.
What did you do after high school?
I went to Talking Leaves Job Corps, Tulip, Oklahoma for 3 years. I took the trades, welding, carpentry, and masonry, and I became certified in all three of them. And you go there 3 years, and then you graduate, and then they give you a certain amount of money for taking that 3 classes. But they fed you, and they gave you a roof over my head, and I met a young lady there, or a young girl, and I was just out of high school, and we got our own place, and the journey through life was good and bad, but I'd rather enjoy the future instead of look back at the past, because it's good to reflect on the past sometimes, but it's better to look towards the future, and that's why I do what I do.
So even though you're selling your work, you're continuing to sell the things that you make, but you did get involved with the Wildland Firefighters for a while, I guess.
Yes, I was a Pawnee Fire Scout for Pawnee, Oklahoma, about 4 years or 5 years, and I came home from a wildland fire, and I had a motorcycle. It was my brother Charles Knifechief's motorcycle, and on a rainy day I was on the highway and a kid hit me. So they had to reattach my right foot back to my leg, so I can't do what I used to. So what I learned when I was younger, making arrows and stuff, that's the only way I could survive. I can't work. I'm disabled, I guess, because I can't walk around for too long at a time. So I went back to the old way, the only good way for me, because people will buy my things and it helps me pay and eat, buy things I need to eat and clothe my little boy and help my older children if they need help. But good thing that my father taught me what I know how to do, because it's helping me pay my bills.
I didn't know if maybe also the skills that you had from your childhood kind of helped you as a firefighter.
Well, when I was a Wildland Firefighter for the Pawnee Fire Scouts, I knew different things about the woods and land and everything, but the fires that we went to, and hurricanes and oil spills and space shuttle recovery in 2003 and all kinds of things that I've seen and done different things when I was a wildland firefighter that you wouldn't believe the things that has happened. But I used to be about 200 pounds when I used to be a wildland firefighter, in good shape. But now I weigh like 285 or 295, and I'm just bigger, and I can't, my right foot, I can't go around very good.
But when you're gathering materials, that's quite a bit of walking. So you're planning that into the seasons, I guess.
Yes, in the spring, the dogwood, they come out and they bloom out at our campgrounds. That's where I get the dogwood. And now at the Pawnee Lake, I go out there and get the dogwood. And at the South Cemetery, where my mother's buried at, they have dogwood around the cemetery. So, and on North Cemetery, they have dogwood out that way. But I already know where to go, where the best places are. You have to wait at least 2 years before you go back to gather them, because you have to give them time to grow back up. But there's different places here in Pawnee and Skeety that I go get my material and things.
And pretty much you don't get anything down Shoto Way, which is where you live. You're coming back up here for most of what you need.
Well, I come back on certain times of the year to get my things. I get enough to last me. I moved away from here in Pawnee, Oklahoma, so more or less give me and my little boy a fresh start, because I've had him since he was a little bitty guy, and I wanted him and I to be together so I can teach him what I know. He does good in school. He makes A's and every now and then a B. So he's real smart, and he's 9 or just turned 9, but he thinks he's 18. And he likes to boss me around, but I love him.
Well, and you're also, of course, hunting. I assume you're getting your turkeys for the most part when you do use wild turkey. Are you getting your own turkeys then?
Yes, turkeys and deer horns, they're
For your senior.
plentiful on our land here in Pawnee and Skeety and different areas in this area. They're real thick because it's Native American restricted Indian land, and we lease them out for farm grazing and oil and gas royalties, so the people that lease them can't hunt on there. And I come out and kill a deer or two and a turkey for their wings and for their tail. And my dad's birthday is on Thanksgiving, so it's good to have a good turkey on his birthday to honor him. But everything that me and my little boy use, we know where to go. Ever since I was his age, little all the way to now.
Have you noticed any changes though? Is it harder to get certain things because the land is changing?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things because the erosion and the people litter, and it just changes the land. It's totally different. When I was younger, it used dogwood and bodark and hickory trees were so thick and plentiful that nowadays everything's getting polluted, or people throw trash out and they don't care. But I know different places where to go and to go re-get my stuff.
Have you, when and where did you kind of make your first museum contact? For selling, I guess, or demonstrating?
I was in Cushing, Oklahoma. I made me a quiver, and my friend had a truck, and I told him to drop me off in the middle of town. So he dropped me off in the middle of town. He said, "What are you gonna do?" And I said, "I need to get some stuff, formula milk and some diapers for my boy." I said, "Oh, you can't sell them arrows." And, I went to a couple of businesses just walking Main Street in Cushing, and the man asked me how much were the arrows, and I told him how much the quiver was, and he said, "Well, I'll buy everything from you." So I was all happy. My arrows are $5 a piece, and I had 6 arrows, so that's $30, and my quiver was $25, so I had $55. That was a lot. So I went and bought my friend some gas and got the milk and formula and some diapers. Came back to Pawnee and made some more, and kept doing it, making them, and now my arrows are $50 a piece, and my quivers are $150 a piece. So you can kind of tell how much from back then to now. My son is 27 now, so it's 27 years ago when I was selling for $5 a piece, and now they're $50 a piece, my arrows. So it's a big difference.
Right. And you sell to different kinds of, you have different kinds of customers. You sell to other Native people who actually do use bow and arrow, right? And you also sell to people for whom it's something something that they enjoy, but they display mainly.
Yes, I've been to several different tribes, and they buy my arrows to shoot out as their bows and stuff. They like my arrows better than they do from their own tribe, and that's pretty cool to them honor me that way. And I have repeat customers from lawyers to senators and different people. I have my arrows and different bows and different things all over the United States, because when I used to be a firefighter, I used to take arrows with me so I could sell them to different people in different states, and they would have me sign them and they'd put them in their museum. So I have them all over the place, and the faster I make them, the sooner I can sell them sometimes.
Right. Have you had a museum ever request specifically that you make something specific for them, for their museum?
The Republic of Kansas, for about 5 or 6 years ago, asked me to make a bow and quiver and 6 arrows and a couple of buffalo knives and skinners and scrapers, and I guess more or less 2 of everything that I make for the Museum of Republic of Kansas. And a couple museums in Nebraska, down by the Flat River where the Pawnees are from. I've had stuff in museums in Nebraska and Republic of Kansas where the Pawnees have been through and making their journey. So, and my dad has his Indian corn that they regrew in Republic of Kansas. And also, 2 years ago, my oldest son and my youngest son and I were at Kearney, Nebraska, for 100th centennial of the archway that they have there. It's a big museum. I got to be a guest speaker, I guess, there. My oldest son, John Knifechief, was giving tours on the Earth Lodge like we have in the background. And my little boy was running around, and I've seen where in Nebraska they were replanting my dad's Indian corn on that land, and they were bottling it up, selling it to raise money for what they do down there. So I'm honored that my dad
wonderful.
is still kept alive there.
Yeah. Do you do a garden? A little garden?
I did a while back, but now I've been so busy. But once my youngest son, Charles Knifechief, gets big and can take care of himself, I'm moving back to Pawnee, and I'm gonna live here by the Black Bear where my dad left us some land where he grew his corn. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna live off the land. When I'm 48 now, my son will be done with high school. Not too much longer, I hope. So I want to enjoy myself living on my land that my dad left me and make what I make and pay my bills.
Sounds like a neat plan. And you of course have been such a good marksman since you were little, and I guess you have participated in at least one cornstalk shoot, or.
Yeah, I did. It was a while back though. I was invited to Cherokee holidays and to a cornstalk shoot, and I accidentally won it. And these guys do this every 3 or 4 times a year. They get together and for Pawnee to go down there and accidentally win it. I never got invited back, so that's okay. But they invited me to sell my arrows down there. My brother Charles Knifechief, my youngest brother, him and I sold my arrows down there. And I had a table full of my arrows on, and I sold all my arrows within 5 hours, and I had a lot of arrows. And all the other booths, there were a little bit of people there, but mainly they're all focused on my arrows.
Yeah, there's not many people doing that, and they are so beautiful. I'm going to look at them pretty soon. Do you mind sharing the story about after 9/11, you felt really moved by the firefighters' sacrifice, and there was something you wanted to do?
I knew some of the firefighters that cross-trained with the Wildland Firefighters when I used to be an Oklahoma Wildland Firefighter, Pawnee Fire Scout. That one of the firefighters from New York called me and asked me if I would make something to help raise money for the men and women that were lost. I made some buffalo spears for the 10th anniversary of 9/11, and they sold them. They raised money for 343 firefighters that were lost. And they, they planted one of my spears at ground zero. That's really an honor. That it's something that it was the right thing to do. And it's just something that I'm happy that I've done, and I don't, just like anybody else would do something for our country.
You know, I'm sure you have to do a lot of educating when you demonstrate and when you sell. And I'm wondering what's one of the biggest misconceptions that you have to try to address?
There's a lot of, well, there's not a lot of people, but there's some people that think that because I'm from Pawnee, that we still live the same way on horses and teepees and wagons. But when I was a Wildland Firefighter for Pawnee Fire Scouts, I'd meet different people around different states. They would ask me, do you still live in a teepee, and do you still have roundhouses, and do you still ride horses? And I let them know that we still have teepees, but they're for meetings, peyote meetings. And we have earth lodges and roundhouses for gatherings, and everything has a purpose, but it's not like it used to be. And we have powwows and gatherings of different tribes gathered together. We have straight dance contests and fancy dance contests. And different tribes come from all over the United States to enjoy themselves and meet their relatives from different tribes and get together. So some even ask if we still make bows and arrows, and I'll say yes. I know a couple of them that still do, but they don't know that I'm one of them.
So what's one of the sort of craziest or most humorous situations you found yourself in in your travels, maybe when you were selling?
I was in Nebraska a couple years ago, Kearney, Nebraska, and a guy said that he would buy a couple arrows from me and a bow if I could split an apple with one of my arrows. And I said, I can only do it if you stick it on top of someone's head and you walk back 25 paces. And there's a man standing next to him, and he said, my brother put it on top of his head, and we're inside the museum, Kearney, Nebraska, a couple years ago. And I said, are you serious? And he said, yes, I'm serious. And I said, okay. And that man took 25 paces. He got that apple, put it on top of his head, and I pulled that bow back, that arrow back on my bow, and I was acting like I was going to shoot it, and you just that guy squinting his eyes, and his brother's laughing. That was the crazy. I didn't shoot but that was one of the craziest things.
What's your favorite thing to make?
My arrows. I love making arrows. I can probably close my eyes and make an arrow. I've been doing it for about 40 years, off and on through the years. But arrows are my favorite.
And how did you know when it was time to kind of start raising your prices? Sometimes the business part's hard to figure out.
It was real easy for me to figure it out because the first time I sold them in Cushing, about 27 or 28 years ago, the man bought everything I had. So I'd wait like maybe 6 months, and I'd go up to $10, and then I'd go up to 15. Then one of my brothers said, why don't you go up to 25? And so I went to 25, and they were still buying everything. So it just progressed every 6 months or a year, and gradually got up to $50 an arrow for each arrow, 50. But when you buy something, it's handmade, and you get a certificate of authenticity with it, and it tells you who I am and where everything came from. It's all typed up. And my brother Charles Knifechief's wife, Donna Knifechief, typed it up for me on a computer because I don't know how to do any of that. And on the top of my certificate has Chodoks of Chodoks, means men of men or people of people in our language. And it has all the chiefs in the background, and it has Chodoks of Chodoks on the head of the paper certificate. And usually people ask me to sign my name on a piece of paper. I used to charge $5 for my signature. Now I get $50 every time if I write my name on something. So I'm honored people will pay me for my signature and certificate authenticity. But I've worked hard for what I have. And people, if they want something that's real and authentic, they'll pay the money for it. And it's good to know that people still want real things instead of something made in China or Taiwan. Mine's made in the USA, and that's I'm real proud of.
Do you get a lot of commissions, people who call the house maybe wanting?
Yeah, I have these business cards, and I'll give them out. If someone buys something, I'll give them 3 or 4 business cards, and they'll give one to a friend. And but I usually get 2 or 3 phone calls a week where people order something, and I'll get it together, and I'll drive to where they're at, and I'll deliver them, and they'll pay me, and I'll drive back home. And I get asked to go to schools or different places to demonstrate how to make my arrows to people, and I enjoy doing that. And I'm older now, and it's hard for me to hold back the tears whenever I talk about certain things, so I don't want it to be that way. I guess just from becoming older and things, but it's a good thing.
What's one of your favorite school memories of working with school kids?
Whenever they had a little elementary school in Pryor, Oklahoma, and my little boy went with me, and he handed out tickets to every little kid in there, and I had 6 different arrows up there. So when I got done, we'd draw 6 tickets, and you get one of them arrows. And that last ticket, all them little kids are standing up, just one, and there's one little kid sitting in the back. He just sitting there rocking his chair, and called that last ticket. No one said anything. That little kid just rocking his chair, and he looked at that ticket, and he just flipped over the back of his chair. I got it. So that was the funniest thing, and everybody was laughing and stuff.
That's a great story. What's one of the hardest things that you've ever made?
The hardest thing I've ever made was probably the bows, because you have to have them a certain length and a certain thickness, and you have to be able, I had my dad's a draw knife, so you have to draw that knife from the center. You find the center of your bodark. You have to pull from the center out, and it has to be thicker, and it goes down a little bit skinnier towards the tip where you string up your bow. So that was the hardest thing to teach myself, but after doing it for several years, I can do it pretty easy. But that's the hardest thing.
Can you talk a little bit more about like the buffalo spears? What you make? Are there shafts made from bodark too, or what are the materials that go?
The buffalo spears, I'll call them, they're 6 or 7 foot long. And they have buffalo hide for the center to hold them. and the points are either metal or people can have them out of flint. And usually I have 4 feathers on there, or 8 feathers. 8 feathers represent the 8 wars that the Native Americans have been in war conflict with. And 4 feathers represent north, east, south, and west. And the 4 bands in our tribe, and also the 4 like spring, summer, autumn, and winter. They all have different meanings. And like for the stars, when I was little, my dad used to point up, and when there'd be a clear sky, he'd tell us which each star, like the pattern for the Pawnees and what that meant and everything. So everything that I have has a different meaning for it. And the burn marks that I put on and anything and everything I make, it looks like fingerprints on them. And that's to honor my ancestors on there. But I'm the only one that makes the burn marks on everything that I make that I know of.
And you mentioned, I know in one interview that there are lances, there's a significance that lances have in terms of war and peace. I wondered if you would mind sharing that.
When the head chief would have his, well, people nowadays say the left-hand man, the right-hand man, you would have the chief would be in the middle, and there'd be a warrior on the left of them and one on the right. Whenever they go into war, one of the warriors would have a buckland spear, and before they went in, he would throw that spear to the ground. That's where the war began. And on the way out, if one of the warriors didn't make it out or the chief didn't make it out, there was always one that made it out. He would pick it up and take it back to the camp, and they would talk about who they lost in that war or what happened. And the teepee, the chiefs would get together and they would figure out who needed to take care of who. So that's the meaning of the buckland spear.
Mm-hmm. If you're getting ready to make a knife and you're looking for materials for knife handles, do you go by the grip more, or is it also partly how it looks? Is it both things?
That's more or less after making them for several years. It depends on where I'm going to go sell them at, because people want different shapes and sizes, and everybody is not the same. We're all, our mind is totally different, and everybody, some people can see something that I make and they just got to have it. And there's some things that people won't even touch or look at. So I make different colors and different sizes and shapes, and some things I make that I don't think would sell. They're oddball, I'll call them, but someone will be attracted to it because it's oddball. So it depends on if someone orders something a certain way, I'll make it the way they want. If not, I'm just going to make it the way I feel, and usually I do good with the way I feel making something.
Right. So what's your creative routine? Do you try to work mostly while your son's in school, or sounds like he works a lot with you?
I will do everything, try to do everything during the daytime while he's at school, or at nighttime when he's asleep. And it just depends on how I feel. And if my leg's not hurting, whatever, I'll turn my John Knifechief used to be a singer. He traveled all over. He's in the service, and when he got out of the service, he went around powwows. Him as Tom, Steve, and Charlie Knifechief sang all the time. So I'll put in one of his CDs or cassettes, and I'll listen to it, and it'll get me in the mood, and I'll start making arrows or knives or whatever, and then, but it just depends on my mood, how I feel. And I always listen to CDs of my family singing and stuff.
And you'll have several things kind of going at one time in different phases of the...
Yes, because people always ask me to make one arrow, and I try to make 6 or 12. I try to make everything in 6s for some reason. And it's a lot, it benefits me more if I make 6 or 12 at a time, because usually people, like in a set, there's 6 arrows and 1 quiver and 1 bow. That's a set. Or someone wants to buy a set of arrows, that's 6 in a set. But I have on a piece of paper what I'm making, this and that, and it has a contact number if someone wants to order something, or even if they ask me to come to their school to demonstrate how to do what I do, I'll do it for a small fee. And I'll bring my little boy with me and he'll help me do things.
Well, looking back on your work so far, your career so far, what was a turning point for you where you could have sort of gone one way and you chose to go another?
When my son was born, April 28th, 9 years ago.
Today's his birthday.
That's what made me turn for the better.
How about one of the low points of your career so far?
My motorcycle wreck. It made me see the light.
Well, we're going to look at some of your work and talk about that for a few minutes. Is there anything we forgot to talk about or anything you'd like to add?
I enjoy doing what I do, and I'm honored that people ask me to do what I do, and I'd be happy to go just about anywhere to show what I do, to let people know that there's still people like me, and I'm sure there is in the other tribes that do what I do, but I'm honored that I'm the one in my tribe, and I'm really honored that I'm a full-blood Pawnee. But it's a dying art that I'm trying to keep alive. So my little boy, he'll be the one that will take off with it. And, but I am a mere shadow walking in the path of light of our Lord.
Okay, so we're looking at some of your arrows, John. And I noticed there's some with some pink shafts.
The pink shafts are for breast cancer awareness. And feathers are pink. And the sinews dyed pink. And the black ones are dyed goose feathers. And dyed black sinew. And white is goose. And wild turkey feathers from his wing. The sinew's different colors. This is regular, that's dyed black, and the pink is dyed pink.
Right. Oh, they're beautiful. And all
The wood is dogwood. The burr marks are heat, straighten, and cure the arrow. And they're all like,
each one's unique.
yeah, they're all 31¼ inches long, not including the arrow. Arrowheads are flint, chert, agate, obsidian, different types.
Beautiful. Okay, and now we're looking at quiver, bow, and medicine bag. I don't know if you want to talk about some of the detailing. You can see the bow there real nicely, how it's scalloped on the edge.
Like on these, from the bodark. You know, they got all them knots and.
Oh, that's from the knots in the bodark. Okay. Yeah. Wow. painted the stripes on the quiver.
To match the feathers.
Mm-hmm.
The medicine bag is to protect the hunter or warrior when he goes into battle,
Mm-hmm.
or if he goes on a hunting trip, to guide him to where the deer, elk, or buffalo are at.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. And okay, now we're looking at one of your lances here. And it's got the metal point on it.
Yes. I should have brought another one.
But you've done some painting on the wood too. And is this bodark?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The wood's bodark and cow, and the 4 feathers represent the 4 bands in our tribe. Also the 4 directions, the 4 seasons in the year. I'm a Native American, proud to be an American, so I put the USA flags on there to represent that.
Mm-hmm.
The burn marks are to straighten the bodark. They're my fingerprints. And they're honoring the ancestors that we have made it, from them making a journey from Nebraska to Oklahoma.
Coming up. Well, it's just beautiful work. I'm so glad you're carrying on your father's legacy, and your son's going to carry on too. Thank you very much for your time today, John.
Thank you.